Hi, welcome to episode 501 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Blue Sky. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, where this episode and every episode show notes will be, and I have an Etsy shop where I sell my hand-spun yarns and knitting patterns. Hi, how are you? It is Christmas Eve. That is, it's Monday afternoon, December 23rd. We are getting ready to celebrate the holidays here in the States. This past weekend was very much a get all the things done. I did a lot of cleaning and tidying and packed up my sewing station, which is my dining room table, so that we could have dinner on it. We did a lot of shopping for groceries. I nabbed the last couple stocking stuffers. And I think we are mostly ready for the holidays. We will be joined by my mother-in-law and her boyfriend for Tuesday and Wednesday. And then Wes and I actually have to work today and tomorrow. We get done early tomorrow, but we do have to work. So it's more or less things as usual. It's very quiet today, and a lot of my colleagues are out, so it's been kind of light. I've been sneaking in a little knitting in between, and so I just thought it would be a fun time to come and chat with you. Even though I still have one more podcast before the end of the year, I did actually kind of bring all my works in progress. They relate some to what I've been crafting this week, and I just kind of wanted to show you some of what I'm going to carry over with me into the new year. So I have a little bit of spinning and lots of knitting to show you. I brought no quilting because I had to clean everything up, so it's kind of packed and put away for a week or so. I'll bring it back out. It won't even be a week. I'll bring it back out next weekend and hopefully play a little bit through the New Year's. I'm expecting the next couple weeks to be a little light at work, and I'm hoping for a few early days and a little bit extra crafting time. So I hope that you're doing well. I will announce the giveaway winner at the end of the episode. Thank you to all who commented. I loved reading your comments. I think my favorite one was from a viewer who said that she isn't interested in quilting and figured she would lose interest in my podcast once I started quilting, and that she has stuck around and actually found what I had to say not uninteresting. So I took that as a high compliment, and I can assure you that this podcast will never be all about quilting, because knitting is and probably always will be my first love, but I do lots of different crafty things at this point, so I like just kind of keeping you abreast of what I'm working on each week. Also, when you produce a weekly podcast, I do feel a little bit of pressure to come with something to show you most weeks. And of course, the weeks that I potentially slip into quilting, I'm doing less knitting, so I want to be able to share what it is I'm working on, so so that the podcast isn't me showing you the same thing over and over and over. So luckily, I'm not totally monogamous on my knits, so we'll always have a few things to discuss. So probably the most progress that I have made since we last talked is on a pair of socks that I am knitting, and I'm not quite done with the first sock, but I'm very, very, very close. I am knitting, I was knitting 2 at a time, but I kind of separated them onto DPNs, and as I suspected, that did the trick, and I have been getting them done. So I am knitting socks out of Freya Fine Hand Paints, their Soulmates sock set. Basically, it is 2 balls of identically dyed gradients, and so you can make socks with them. It is Shanico Merino superwash wool, and it is absolutely luscious. It feels like there's cashmere in here, even though there is not. And they can be machine or hand washed with tumble dry low. I'll probably hand wash mine because usually I wash a lot of my socks in a garment bag on Delicate in the washer, and then I take them out and hand dry them or air dry them. So I said I was close. I'm really, really close. So this is what I have so far, and I have this much left. So I still, I'm hoping maybe I'll finish it. It's going to have a generous ribbing on top. These are definitely knee socks, but I want to use every last inch of this gorgeous gradient. So this is the Chameleon colorway, and I started a pattern called 2 at a time toe up socks on 2 circulars on Magic Loop. 2 at a time toe up socks on Magic Loop. The pattern is linked on my on my show notes page at thecornerofknitandtea.com. It is a knit picks pattern, so it is free, and the link goes directly to knit picks. And basically you start at the toe, as the pattern says, and you work your way up. And the interesting part to me is this heel, because you have your slip stitch heel flap starting actually under the heel and then working up around and the back of the heel as you're working your gusset increases and decreases out. So I think it's kind of an interesting pattern. I knit it twice last year, not last year yet, 2024. Well, no, I did knit it last year. Twice in 2023 as sample socks, and I wanted to see how it would feel myself. And I've tried these on for fit check, but I haven't really worn them. So I need to just finish the last little bit up at the top with my kind of teal part of the gradient, and then the first sock will be done, and I don't know if I can finish the second sock before January 1st, but I certainly hope I can. The second sock is started because, as I said, I started these on Magic Loop, and so I have maybe a third to a half of the toe slash foot before probably half of the foot before the heel. Already started. It's still on my Magic Loop needles, just kind of holding it in place. But as soon as I get the first sock off the DPNs, I will put this one on DPNs, and then hopefully I will work through this. I think I've decided not to cast on Christmas Eve cast on sock. I would love to, but I suspect that by the time I finish this one tonight, and tomorrow night is Christmas Eve, I can pick up this sock and call this my Christmas Eve cast on for this year, and then hopefully I can finish the socks before the first. That would be really great. I would love to have them off the needles because these have been on the needles at least since the beginning of this year, and possibly since partway through last year. I think I started them this year, but I have had so much trouble knitting this year that I don't exactly remember. But I would love to have these ready to wear. They are so cozy and squishy, and I would love to wear them in January. And I would love to have them finished and off the needles, and then I will start on some socks for my mom and dad because they have both requested socks, and I have yarn ready to go to do that for them. So that is kind of the first project. Like I said, first sock almost done, and hopefully by the next time I see you, I will be well into the second sock and maybe almost done with it. I expect that other than the heel, which I have to pay attention to, I hope that these socks will get some play in the next couple days because when my mother-in-law visits, we almost exclusively sit around the table playing board games and puzzles and things like that, and I can totally sit and knit a sock, except for the section that I have to pay attention to, which I could probably do during a movie or something at night when we watch. But my hope is that I can get some really good work on these in the next few days, because that's probably the best project to work on while I have people around. So that is project number 1. Project number 2 that I showed you last week and then ripped out and then reknit is a baby sweater. I am knitting a sweater for, let's see, it's Wes's cousin's grandson, so I'm not even going to think about what that is in terms of proper relations, but he is 18 months old, and I said that I would knit him a sweater, and I would love to get this done by New Year's as well, because I would love to get it out to them so that he can wear it in January, February, and March. He lives in Illinois, southern Illinois, so their weather is pretty much it's almost like a straight across Missouri and into Illinois, and so the weather is pretty much the same as ours here, but I think it would be good for him in the next couple months. And last week I showed you the sweater, and I had a little bit of a talk about gauge and how I failed to get gauge, and I knew it, and I kept going anyway, and then I realized the results of my mistake, or I came to grapple with the results of my mistake, and I ripped it out and restarted. I found some size 7 needles, which is what I was looking for. I had not been able to find them in my stash previously, but I went looking and found them. And so I am almost done with the body, which is pretty good for 1 week. So like I said, last time I had gotten to kind of just beyond where I had separated for the sleeves, and this time I am a fair ways into the body. I only have maybe like 1 more inch before I do the bottom hem, and so I am really pleased with my progress on that. And then it will need sleeves, and it gets a little shawl collar, and I'm hoping that I have enough yarn. I think I'm going to, because I am definitely getting closer to gauge at this point, and so my hope is that this will be enough another knock it out real quick between now and the end of the year. So I am knitting that in, let me see if I have my label. I'm knitting it in Blue Sky Fibers sweater worsted, which is a roughly 50-50. Technically it's 55-45. 55% superwash wool, 45% certified organic cotton in the colorway Water Slide, and this comes 160 yards to 100 grams. And so I have 2 balls of that. I am alternating them every other row, and my hope is that I will have enough to finish. If not, I could emergency order a last minute skein, but this would not be done by the 1st because the yarn store won't be shipping much during the holidays. And I'm hoping that I have enough to finish the sweater, and then I will just need to figure out some buttons, although I can't decide. I might just make it open front and cheat. I don't usually skimp on that, but I hate sewing buttons on. It's less washable with buttons. I mean, I have to get plastic buttons, but it's less washable with buttons, and I almost feel like for little kids who are running and moving and whatever, maybe not having it close in the front, although maybe they'd trip over it. I don't know. I'll think about it. We'll see how it goes, but either way, I hope that I will finish this before the 1st of the year, because I would love to get this off the needles and out to the recipient. And baby knits, I always say they're just absolutely, they're sort of instant gratification because they're so small and they don't take any time at all. So yeah, so that is the second project that I'm working on. I didn't say the pattern name. It is Petite. It is not Petite Sophisticate. It is it is Baby Sophisticate. Okay, it is not. It is Child Sophisticate. Baby Sophisticate is a free pattern on Ravelry. It comes in one size. It is newborn sized. And then the designer decided to make other sizes available, and she made other sizes. Well, I guess I'm assuming it's a she. It's by Linden Down. And it is called Child Sophisticate, and it has sizes all the way through toddler and childhood. And so the second pattern, which has all the sizes in it, is a paid-for pattern. You can get it on her website. She does have a, like just a PayPal button where you can buy and get the pattern PDF sent to you. I bought it years ago, so I have it on Ravelry, but I don't think you have to use Ravelry to be able to get it. And it is really easy. I am following per pattern and just knitting along, and I've knit this one several times before. It's really cute. It's just like a little sweater with a shawl color, and it's very cute on babies. So my hope is that I will finish that one by the end of the year as well. In the category of not going well / not going to be finished by the end of the year is my Nanny Swimo sweater. I didn't bring it today because it's in a bag in the corner thinking about what it's done. I have 2 problems with it. I decided to finally try it on, which was a good thing. I probably should have done that a while ago, because what I figured out when I tried it on is that it is a little tighter across the bust than I wanted it to be. I am knitting the medium size, which is approximately for a 38-inch bust, and I wanted it to be a little bit more roomy. I don't have as much ease as I should. Now, I'm not sure if that's because I'm having a gauge issue, which definitely it could be. Brioche is pretty crazy stretchy, and it's really hard to measure gauge, but ultimately what I decided is the first version that I knit of this sweater was a sample, and I knit it several years ago, and I knit it in the size large. And when I went back to knit it for myself, I thought, am I going to do the size large or the size medium? And I thought, well, I'm really more of a medium. I should do that. So when I put it on, I wanted it to fit like the size large did, because I tried on the size large sample before I sent it off, and I liked the way it fit, and that was what made me want to make one of my own. So, also in the trying it on process, I put it on, I set it up on 2 circular needles, and one of them was not quite long enough, and I lost several stitches in brioche, and it's several stitches in a row, so there's just a chunk now that's unknit. Now, it's not terribly far back. If I pulled it out just to go back to where I like had kind of what I needed to be able to pick up and go again, well, okay, I should say I've tried fixing it. It's not fixing very easily. I'm not pleased with the fix. So even if I didn't want it to be bigger, I would still have to rip out probably 10 rows, possibly 12 rows. But because I think I want it, and what happened was I finished the part of the body that I wanted to finish. I finished the skeins I was working on, and then I went to pick up the stitches for the sleeve, and I started knitting the sleeve, and I knit probably 10 rounds on the sleeve, and then I was like, you know, I should try this on, and I tried it on, and not only was the underarm a little tight, like I said, it didn't fit as well as I wanted it to over my bust. And then when I took it off after trying it on, I noticed I dropped the stitches. And so I put it away for the night, and I got it up the next night and tried to pick up the stitches and had kind of a disastrous time. And I thought, you know, this needs to go in the corner for a minute. And I think it's going to stay in the corner until after the first of the year. And I think what I'm going to do, even though it really, really pains me to do it, is I am going to rip back to where I separated for the sleeves, and I'm going to do a little more increasing, and I'm going to continue by knitting the size large. So I want to say a couple things. First of all, I am proud of myself for not just keeping going on the sleeve and deciding that this is going to work out, because that is personal growth for me. That even though I know something's not right, that I'm not continuing, that I'm stopping and evaluating and taking stock of the situation. I am also proud of myself for deciding to rip, not only to fix my error, but also deciding to rip to make a sweater that's going to be more comfortable to me, because past me might have kept going even longer, which would be even more wasted effort, or past me could have finished the sweater and then been unhappy with it. And I will say that a sweater that I'm unhappy with and that doesn't wear comfortably, I won't wear. And so as much as it pains me to rip it out, particularly because a lot of the knitting has been done when my arm was not at its best, and so I feel like it's even more precious hours wasted, I do understand that if it's worth doing this, it's worth doing it right so that I can wear it. I'm a little disappointed in myself for not trying it on a little bit sooner, and let that be a lesson to me that I should really put it on, try it on tubing, and try it on fairly quickly. Like, I really should have done it when I got an inch or two past the underarm split. Like, I don't think you can try it on exactly as you split for the arms, because it's really hard to tell like what actually it will feel like. But I could have gone maybe 6 or 8 rows beyond the split, and then I could have tried it on, and I would have saved myself a little bit of effort and possibly also some of the stitches falling off. So basically that's in a corner. It's waiting to be ripped out. I will likely rip out what I need to before the first of the year so I can start again, but that will not be finished the first of the year. And so I would consider that a nanny Swaymo fail, because I really had hoped to finish it by the first of the year and wear it in the new year. But I am probably going to take January and February to focus on projects that I've put aside. More on that in just a moment. And I am proud of myself for at least recognizing that this needs to be right. And so yeah, so that's going to be one that's going to follow me over into the new year. Basically what happened was I realized that I had screwed up and that I couldn't fix it in the middle of us watching a movie, and I had already worked on my sock for the day and wanted to work on something a little different, and so I balled up the sweater and put it in the bag and brought it into my craft room / office and dropped it, and I immediately picked up another work in progress that I had been hoping to touch before the end of the year. So I at least made lemonade out of lemons, I guess. I don't know. So what I picked up is a top that I have in progress. And those of you who've been with me for a while will remember this. I stopped working on this when I started on Nanny Swaymo, and maybe a little bit before that. I basically stopped working on this as soon as the weather changed, because it is a tee, and I was all into knitting tees until the weather turned cold, and then I got the fall knitting sweater bug. So, but this one is still in progress, and I will likely not finish it before the end of the year, but it was kind of on the list of things that I should pick up again, so I decided to pick it up again. So this is my Hipster Tea. That is a pattern by Joji Locatelli, and it is a summer tea basically designed based on a design element in her hipster shawl. And her hipster shawl is sort of characterized by this kind of pattern. It's a garter stitch pattern, and then what you do is you do extra wraps around the needle, and then which gives you extra long loops, and then you sort of cable. You pass the loops over each other and knit them in a different order. If you are interested in learning how to do it, I can recommend the Hipster Shawl, or this is the Hipster Tea, and this has these panels right up at the top of the shoulders, and then the rest of the tee is a 2-color striped tee. So I am knitting my tee in 2 colors of yarn from my friend Christine at Treasure Goddess Yarns. And let's see if I still have the... Yep, I do. This is Treasure Goddess Yarns. It is her Treasure Yak Toes sock, and it is 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, 10% nylon, 437 yards to 100 grams. And then I have 2 colorways. This one is From the Depths She Rose, and this one is Song of the Sirens. So, and I love Song of the Sirens. I already have a sweater in that colorway. But I love, the one thing about the yak is that it is somewhat natural fibers, darker colored like gray fibers. And so her yarns dyed on yak tend to take the color even darker and kind of more moody than her regular colors. Her regular colors are kind of bright and cheerful, but this one kind of tones it down a little bit. Anyway, the top is really interesting. It starts kind of with provisional cast-ons up at the top, and then you kind of work the back, and you work both sides down to the neck. And I did make modifications at the neck. The neck was called for to be a very deep V, and I decided that I wanted it to be work appropriate, so I did not make the V quite as deep. And that is absolutely not a judgment on what anyone else chooses. I just knew where it would fall on me, and I knew that I would be uncomfortable in meetings with a top that went quite that low, and so I decided that I was going to, what I did was I knit it to about an inch before where the V ended, and then instead of doing a V, I just cast on the remainder of the stitches that would have been cast on in the increases for the increases on either side to make the V. So my top should actually be a little bit higher than the V-neck, but that shouldn't be a problem. I just wanted it a little more scoop-necked. And then other than that, I am knitting per pattern, and basically once you get to that join, once you get to done with the armholes, you join in the round and you knit down. Now, some cool things about this pattern: you knit the border on as you go. It's kind of curling under, but I think with a little bit of blocking, it will be a little bit better. And then the way she has you kind of finish at the edges here creates like a little bit of a curling edge around the V, which is exactly how it's going to finish there. So basically there is no finishing on this top because the finishing is already done. So all I have to do is just knit down the body, and then down at the bottom there will be I think about an inch of ribbing in, I'm going to make it in the darker color. So basically I am just going to knit this tee until I run out of yarn. It will be a while because I have these 2 colors. I think this ball is just ever so slightly smaller than this one because I've used just a little bit more of this one, and I do want this one to be my bottom ribbing, although I suppose I could if I wanted to get maximum length. I guess we'll see how long it is, but my plan was to finish off in this color rather than this color, sort of so that I can match the trim at the arms. So my plan is just to keep knitting. I don't know that it'll be a super long top, but I don't think it's going to be super cropped either. But I'm just going to knit till I run out of yarn. And that was 2 skeins of fingering yarn out of the stash. So I don't think I'm going to finish this before the end of the year because there's still quite a bit to go, and I would really, really like to finish those socks. So that's probably my primary, the socks and the baby sweater are probably my primary project, but I will do a few runs on this here and there because this is also actually not a terrible thing to do at a gaming table or while watching movies or whatnot, because it's pretty easy. It's just a 2x2. So that is the Hipster Tea, and I will be working on that. So I have 2 other projects that unfortunately I'm going to carry with me into the new year. And I say unfortunately because it would be lovely to have finished them this year, but they are in progress and I am not going to be able to finish them this year, not even close. And so I thought I would just show them to you and kind of refresh to you what I am taking into the new year with me and the projects that I would like to work on as we get into the new year. So the first is a blanket project that I started early in the year and kind of pushed myself on, and then I started having problems with my, I started having tendonitis, and that pretty much killed any desire to work on this project because it is a blanket. And so I kind of, so this is a blanket that I wanted to knit for my niece who got married, not my little niece, my niece who got married. I have a niece and a nephew on my side, my sister's children. They're the small ones that I knit for frequently. And then I also have a niece and a nephew on my husband's side, and they are older. They are 26 and 20. Well, they'll be 27 and 21 in the early spring. And my niece got married last year in, 2023 in October. And for her first anniversary, I wanted to knit them a blanket in their wedding colors. And of course that didn't happen. So my goal now is their second anniversary, or whenever I finish it. I may just send it as a just because gift. And I picked a pattern from Pearl Soho that I've always really liked. And then I figured I would upsize it. So I picked the Mosaic Blanket pattern, which is basically just a slip stitch knitting pattern. And I picked colors that were the colors of their wedding, which was kind of a red and a black. And so far I am really, really pleased with this. I believe I finished the first two, so I have 6 skeins of each color in order to make a really large throw. And my hope is that this will be something that they can keep on their couch and cuddle up under together. They have 2 dogs, so I selected a yarn that is 100% acrylic so that it can be washed in the machine, because pets mean that pets are going to love them and there's going to be dog hair all over them, and that's fine, but I wanted it to be something that would be somewhat durable. So the yarn that I'm working with is Barocco Comfort, which is 100% not natural fibers. It is, what do we got? It is 50% superfine nylon and 50% superfine acrylic. It is 210 yards to the skein, and it is a machine wash, warm water, gentle cycle, and then you can tumble dry at low heat. So I am using the 2 colors that I'm using are, I believe this one is cranberry. It doesn't say on it, but it's got color numbers, but I believe it is cranberry, and then the black is licorice. So cranberry and licorice. And I am in the middle of the second skein, so I am not, well, I guess I'm in the middle of the second skein. So I am 1/6 or a little bit more of the way done, and I have quite a ways to go. And I enjoy knitting this, and I am excited to get back to it, but I will probably be progressing slower than before. I think I was trying to knit 136 row repeat, 124 row repeat a week, and I don't know if I'll be doing quite that because that was requiring a lot of effort on the part of my arms. So I am taking this one into the new year, and I will be working on this. This one I'm not as concerned on in terms of the timeline. I mean, my kind of drop dead date, like I would really like to be done by then, is by their second anniversary, which will be at the end of October 2025, which gives me lots of time to work on it. So my plan is to work on it in the beginning of the new year, because I would really like to spend some time on it and see more progress. But I'm also not going to kill myself to get it done right away, because I don't know that that's really necessary. If I finish it early, great. But if I could even finish it before spring was out, I would be fine with that. So that is one of the projects I'm carrying with me into the new year. Another project that I'm carrying with me into the new year is my chicken. So I have talked about this quite a bit on the podcast before. I work with a company called the City Girl Farm, and they make they call them chicken footstools, and technically they can be used as footstools, but they are artistic chicken pieces, and they are basically sort of sculptures. They have an inside that is wood and brass fittings, and then we cover them in wool and, hand spun, hand knit, or felted wool, and they become basically art pieces. And I work for them on a contract basis, and because I have worked for them for a while now, I am entitled to make my own chicken. And so I have been working on making my own chicken for a while now, and I think I'm about halfway through what I need. And you may remember that I was making all of these feather stacks, earlier in the year in a variety of sizes and colors. And so I would like to get back to this project because I really wanted to do my chicken last year. Honestly, the only reason I put it off was because this was kind of... I really, really, really want the finished product. The actual knitting of these is not as much fun as I would like it to be. And so despite the fact that I really, really want my finished chicken, I'm a little slow on these. And when my wrists started giving me problems, I just put it aside and picked projects that were much simpler and easier on my hands. This is a lot of little pieces. It also needs to be sewn up. So I have quite a few of these in this bag here. I think, like I said, I think I have about half of the ones that I need. but I still need to do a bunch more. So that is another project that I'm picking up, and actually this one I hope maybe I can finish in the first few months of the year, because I would love to hand them over. Basically what will happen is I work as a chicken feather knitter, so I knit lots of different things that go on top of the chicken. Occasionally I spin for them, although I don't spin for them as much as you might think, because a lot of the spinning that they have is more art spinning, art yarn, thick and thin, and like a variety of textures, and I just don't have the skill set to do that. So for the most part I'm a knitter for them, but occasionally I do spin. And so what happens is then I take the pieces that I have knit or spun, and I take them and I turn them in, and somebody else pins them onto the chicken body, and another woman sews them on, and then they add coxcombs and other little details, and then they are sold. So I have to finish all my pieces, and then I can take it in and somebody else will pin it and somebody else will sew it for me, and then I can have my chicken. So I have plenty of work to go. I have another skein of hand-spun yarn. This is fiber from Hello Yarn, and it is on Corriedale, and it is enchilada night. I was like something taco, enchilada night. And it was a club colorway a while back, and then she put up a bag of seconds fiber, which is little bits and pieces. So when she dyes the fiber, she does it in big, long braids, or not braids because she braids it later, in big long strings of fiber. And as she's breaking it off to braid it up to basically send it out into the world, she has little bits and bobs left over from different sections of the braid, or sections that weren't quite right in color or just a little bit off. And so then she bags these up and she calls them seconds, and she sells them at a slightly reduced rate. So I purchased a pound bag of seconds, and I am working my way through it, spinning yarn. So this is singles that has been kind of fluffed and fulled, and then I am also using some yarn that I bought at a Ply-Away years and years and years ago. It might have even been my first Ply-Away conference here in Kansas City, and it is from Ross Family Farm. And I bought it thinking that the yarn was soft enough that I wanted to use it for a sweater for myself. And ultimately, it is lovely and soft, but it is very minimally processed, and it has a lot of vegetable matter in it. And I got a little frustrated because every time I would touch it and work with it, I would just be covered in straw and bits of fiber and all kinds of things. And so I have turned into using it for my chicken instead. So this is it is the Ross Farm Heritage and Rare Breeds, which is mostly what she raises. This doesn't happen to be, but it is Shetland, and it is from Heliotrope 2.0, which I don't know if that means it's sheep Heliotrope 2.0 or if it's Heliotrope and it's their second year coat. I'm not sure. It could be either. And then it is Shetland wool, and it is a 3-ply sport weight, 250 yards. So I have been using this alongside this. That's how I get my, where did I put it? That's how I get these two turn into this. So that is what I'm doing for my chicken. And as I said, I need to do about half again as many, and I should have enough of the yarn to finish that, and I will definitely have enough of the fiber. So I have 3 more skeins of yarn, plus a 4th that's kind of started, and I'm holding this one doubled and holding this one singled, so I get the color that I want. And then the only other thing I've been doing on this fiber is there are a couple sections of this fiber that are really light. I don't think this skein has any because I think I pulled them all out. There are sections of this fiber that are almost white or gray and are so close to this that they don't even show up. You could see that in one of the ones that I held up. So as I'm spinning more of it, I'm trying to pull those very, very light areas out so that I'll have enough contrast so that it will actually look like colors. So I'm very excited about this. I would really, really like to finish this in the first couple months of the year. In terms of goals, I would say January and February. In the past, I've done something in February called Finishuary, where I have tried to finish it, frog it, or fix it. And so I would say January and February for me are going to be all about finishing. I want to go back and I want to finish my my Nanny Swaymo, and I want to finish my chicken. So those are kind of the 2 things that I really want to get done. I bought yarn for a knit along in January. It's for a tank top. It will probably go quickly. I have socks that I want to knit for my parents, and then if I can fit something else in, I want to knit a little toy. I'm thinking maybe a Bluebird of Happiness for my niece and nephew for Valentine's Day, because I always send them a little Valentine's Day package, and I usually try and include something handmade in there. And my thought is that if I send them each a little bird, then I can send them just like something fun along with it, and a little chocolate, because who doesn't love chocolate in February for Valentine's Day, right? Okay, that was a lot of talk about what I might do next year, and I realize it's not the last podcast of the year, but I thought I would share that with you, and we'll see what I can finish in time for next week. Hopefully something. Maybe I'll get the baby sweater finished. And that would be really, really great. So 2 seconds of spinning, because I really don't have a lot to tell you. I did finish the first bobbin. So I don't think I had this done last week. I think I had just a little bit left. So this is Grainbow by Spunwear Around the Rainbow. And they are a Canadian fiber company, and it is superwash merino. It is in all these fun neon colors, and then it is, according to the seller, it is blacklight reactive. I do not have a blacklight, so I cannot check that, but it is bright and neon and tons of fun. And this is what the second half looks like, because I have not gotten to spin it. I'm hoping maybe to get it on the wheel this evening, and in the next week or two finish that up, and maybe finish this skein before the new year. That would be another great goal. I did not spin as much as I wanted to this year. I basically took a break from spinning between July and about a month and a half ago, but I do have spinning goals for next year. My guess is I'll just move slower than I have before. I am really trying to baby my arm, because it is in so much better shape than it was in at the beginning of the year. I am having no pain, and I am doing that by listening to myself really carefully and spinning for very short periods of time and knitting for short periods of time and moving between projects at different gauges. And it seems to be working, and I am back to a productivity level that I am at least happy with. And so my goal for 2025, here it is. Are you ready? I just came up with this. My goal for 2025 is to craft as much as I am able, but keep myself in check so that I do not have to undergo another year of pain or periods of not crafting. That is my 2025 goal, to be gentle to myself, but also work on everything that I love. So I think that is a lovely stopping point. I do know that I need to announce the winner of the giveaway. Again, I want to thank all of you who commented and all of you who watched last week's episode, which was 500. I cannot believe that I've been doing this for 10 years. I feel like I haven't aged a bit. No, I'm kidding. No matter how old I get, I still feel like I'm like a 12-year-old trapped in a 46-year-old woman's body. Yeah. So there were 15 of you who commented. The random number generator picked number 14, and that is Helen Rowley. So Helen, I don't think that I have your email. So if you would contact me, you can contact me at thecornerofknitandtea@gmail.com, or you can contact me if you use Ravelry and that's safe for you. You can contact me on Ravelry as Fluffy K, or you can contact me on Instagram as Fluffy Kira. Either way, go ahead and send me your snail mail address, and we can discuss your prize. I'm happy to get you a $50 gift card to a store of your choice, or if you're interested in something handspun, then we can chat about that as well. So thank you to everyone who left comments. I love you all. This would not have been a 10-year journey without you, because honestly, if no one was watching, I would just stop. So thank you all. And I hope, since I won't see you again before Christmas or the start of Hanukkah, or really Kwanzaa, I hope that whatever holiday you celebrate this season, that you get to enjoy it with family and friends and laughter and wonderful food. And if you don't want to see family or friends and you just want a blanket fort the whole time, I wish you a wonderful blanket fort, because honestly, that sounds kind of good to me. Don't tell my husband. Okay, I will see you again next week. And until then, I will say happy spinning, happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy quilting, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.